Once a giant, always a giant.
Welcome back to All Things Giants. You know what we do here. Today we got our second interview. The man, the myth, the legend. I found out about this guy through TikTok. Actually, after the Seattle game, all Giants fans, we can admit we really didn't going into that game. We didn't expect to win that game, and then after winning that game, it felt like the Super Bowl beating a good team like that. I saw this guy's video. I started watching his videos since then. And I'm going to let him introduce himself because I know how he do. Go ahead.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Stephen, a.k.a. Sticky Tree. But what's going on, fam? How you doing?
What's going on? I'm good. Thank you for taking the time and coming to join us today. We're going to be talking about Giants football. And basically, we're going to start it off. We're going to take it way back. I see you love the Giants. But first, I'm going to ask you, what made you fall in love with football? What made you be like, okay, yeah, this is the sport I'm gonna choose to get my all into?
That's a great question. It's almost like finding your first love, and it's more so it found me rather than I found it. There's videos of my dad, paramilitary. We were living in Fort Huachuca in Cerro Vista. Shout out 520. And I had on one of those pee-wee. I mean, I was like 3 years old, but I had on one of those football outfits. No team, believe it or not. But it was just like a football outfit with a bright yellow jersey on. And ever since then.
Yeah, I got plenty of pictures back when I was like young, and obviously the shoulder pads was way too big.
Yeah.
Too big for me. I was much smaller then. So, but I know growing up, just watching football, and I think the thing that reels me in the most, why I can't focus on basketball, can't get interested in the basketball, is because basketball, not every game matters, not every little second matters. In football, every inch, every game, everything matters to the second you step on the field, and that's what really drew me into love the game of football. But I see you almost even more decked out in Giants than I am. So tell me, what made you fall in love with the Giants and there's 31 other teams? What made you want to become a Giant? What's the background of that?
Funny story. So the very first football game that I ever watched, and a lot of my followers know this story, it was the 1986 Super Bowl. And I didn't know what was going on. I knew it was the Giants. Obviously, my favorite color was already blue at the time, navy blue to be exact. And they were going against the Broncos, and I had no clue. How old was I? I was young. That's all I know. I can't. Quick maths. It's Saturday. I don't think on Saturdays. But the game was on. My dad not only hated but despised Elway. And he wanted this player called LT to just destroy him. I mean, that was the bottom line. So obviously I liked LT. I started watching, the game, and Giants won. This quarterback by the name of Phil Simms was MVP. Fast forward 4 more years, which I was kind of still keeping tabs. And I wanted to be LT for a little bit. But then I realized, I was like, I don't like playing defense. I don't like playing I like LT. Don't get me wrong. I like Leonard Marshall, Carl Banks, Reasons, Carson, but I like offense. I want to throw the ball. I want to be the guy throwing the ball. So then it kind of morphed into this Phil Simms love. And 1990 was when I actually started collecting football cards.
Yes.
That year. And that was the year the 49ers and the Giants went on this awesome run. Both teams went 10-0. And I'll never forget this. Actually, during that run, I realized that, wanted to be a quarterback. So I starting this collection of Phil Simms cards. And that was the very first trade I ever made in sports cards. I hope this is like a 5-hour show because I do like to talk, just so you know. No, seriously. The very first trade I made with a friend of mine, I had a Bo Jackson card, and he had a Phil Simms. It was a Bo Jackson tops, and he had a Phil Simms top card. And he always wanted that Bo Jackson, but I held on to it for whatever reason. And I said, I'll tell you what, give me that Phil Simms. And he thought I was stupid. He was like, you're going to trade me this Bo Jackson card for Phil Simms. And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, okay, he literally said, okay, I'm your friend. You know that, right? And I'm like, yeah. Bo Jackson? And I'm like, bro, I know you're going to take care of the card. And actually, he still has his card of the day that I know of. And I was like, yeah. He was like, okay. But remember, you wanted Phil Simms. I'm like, I know.
They want to take it from you.
Yeah, I mean, and I appreciate the man. But I'm like, yeah, okay, I know I want it. But anyway, so then the week before, I forget, the week before the Giants San Francisco game in Candlestick Monday night, it deemed the perfect game. And that's what you don't do. You don't jinx the game. Both teams suffered their first loss. I think we lost to Philly. And if I'm not mistaken, the 49ers, they lost to Minnesota. I think. I'm pretty sure it was Minnesota. I know we lost to Philly. Anyway, Monday night came. My dad was like, who you think? He was on the phone. And then he told his buddy, because my dad liked Montana. He told his buddy, he's like, hey, I got to let you go. Game's on. Oh, they're playing the Giants. Oh, yeah, they're going to beat them. And I'm like, Dad, I don't know. You know this, but Giants defense pretty right this year. They're pretty sick. He's like, oh, you can't even name 5 players. I'm like, Phil Simms, Carl Banks, Lawrence Taylor, Leonard Marshall. I mean, I just went through the list. And he was like, oh, is that your team? And in my mind, I'm thinking, where you been? Do you not know? Do you not know me? Do you not? But of course, that was my inside voice because, that's my father. I said, yeah, it's my team, But anyway, I told him we were going to win. We didn't. We lost 7-3. But then, fast forward, NFC Championship game, and then we won the Super Bowl. So that was my first full year preseason. Even preseason game, I was keeping tabs because I lived in Arizona. You rarely saw Giants games out there.
Yeah.
But I kept tabs on them every night on NFL Blitz. Oh, no. Yeah, it was called NFL Blitz. Nope. It was with Steve Berman and Tom Jackson. I think it was NFL Blitz. Or was it Countdown? Was it NFL Countdown?
Countdown sounds familiar, but I may be wrong.
I think, yeah, I might need to double check that. But every day before I went to school that Monday, I mean, I would see the ticker if we won or lost that year, or even after that, because we didn't have NFL ticket until, after I got out of the service. But I never left the house until I saw that highlight reel of how bad or how good we did. So, yeah, how did you become a fan?
Actually, yeah, like you said, obviously my father, he was a Giants fan. He was more of a, he was never too into, he loved the Giants, all the paraphernalia, he has it all, but he's more of a relaxed guy. Like off season, he doesn't pay too much attention, but when the games are on, he's watching all the games. I have all the discussions, but I remember it was the 07 season, that season. But even before that, like you said, you bring up football cards. My mom, she tells me a story all the time how, like, when I was earlier in age, my teachers would be like, why, like, I started off with my reading levels were a bit behind, and they were trying to put me in like the behind classes. And she was like, there's no possible way he's behind, because this kid is like you said, I had all the football cards. I even had, I go to my mom's house sometimes and I have boxes full. And she was like, this kid can sit here and read the back of the cards and tell me the exact stats of all these players. And looking back, I do that all the time, but I remember this was when I was maybe around like 8 or 9. I remember I had all these football cards, but the one player I just could never get in any of the packs or anything was Eli Manning. And it got me so mad. And then I remember my first time, because I live in Washington. So, I'm around all football team, Redskins fans. That's all I'm around. So we went to, we drove down, or we stayed in a hotel, and then we went to a Giants game. And I remember we went into one of the stores, and I saw an Eli Manning card, and I was like, oh yeah, I just have to have this. So I got the Eli Manning card, and it was then when I realized, I was like, okay, yeah, they got the 07. I sat here and watched the 07 Super Bowl with my dad, but noticing how excited I was to get that Eli Manning card, I was like, this is my team. Like, it was that genuine, like you just said, first love, how you have that genuine moment. That was my genuine moment when I was like, okay, yeah, this is my team. These are the guys I'm gonna rock out with. And a lot of people nowadays questions like, why don't you just choose a different team? Why don't you just go to
you can't do that. You
cannot do that.
No.
And the Giants could go 0-16. I mean, knock on wood, but the Giants 0-16 for the next 5 years, and I would still love the Giants like they were winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl, because it's just that type of connection between this team and my love for the sport. Like I watched the Cardinals. My stepmother's a 49ers fan, so I watched the 49ers with her, but I can never really have that connection with none of these teams with the way I look at the Giants. Every play has me sitting on the edge of my seat wanting the best, and it's something.
Wait, just wait until you get older, because you were talking about the Seattle game. Now, I don't know. See, the camera is doing me some justice. I got like 3 gray hairs, and that was that Seattle game. And then I got a couple gray hairs from here. Was when Goldman fumbled that ball when we played Dallas in the last second. Oh man. But let me tell you about cards. Now, I know I'm bouncing back, but I want to bring up cards. The one football card that I really enjoyed in my collection. So for that 90 season, my dad bought me the 1990 score set. Okay. And I remember spending, I was actually mad at my dad that day, because I was sick that Christmas. And we had, kind of cold, whatever. And we spent that whole game. When you get your PlayStation, you get your Xbox. See, for me, old school, it was Sega Genesis. And you playing that game all day. You know what I'm saying? You playing it all day. All day Christmas, I was putting football cards in sleeves. Like that whole set.
I got the big binder where they have each.
Yeah.
I got it all.
And we were breaking them up in teams, and I'm like, I wish I would have asked for something. I wish I got it. If I'd have known my Christmas gonna be like, I wasn't feeling well. I didn't want to do this, but my dad got the cards. But it was that 1990 Phil Simms card, and the dude to me had like the perfect form as a quarterback, and I'm like, that's what I want to be. That's what I want to be right there.
Yeah, Eli's cadence is like the way, like just hearing him every snap, and that's one thing I think a lot of teams have to go through their quarterback with injuries, but Eli just never got injured, and I think like hearing over and over again, it was just like, how could you not love to hear that consistency and how he's always there for your team? It was honestly amazing to watch.
When Gilbride left in 2013, I was hoping that Eli would, kind of take off, but it was the opposite. The McAdoo experiment was atrocious. As a coordinator, I mean, okay, but let's give him credit where it's due. His first year as a head coach, he got us to the playoffs. Okay, you got us to the playoffs.
I just can't excuse him for benching Eli for Geno Smith.
No. I know. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. And which I don't understand why he did it. Yeah. I'm sure there has to be some reason why he did it, because when you are a negative impact in NFL history, which he is, he was an actual negative impact to a player's hit. And I guarantee you, if McAdoo were to call Eli, he ain't picking up the phone.
No.
I got a better chance of Eli picking up the phone when I call than McAdoo does. But then, of course, the Shermer experiment. You know, Shermer, he's a great coordinator, but as a head coach, you know, maybe the next one he'll be, that coach that he knows he can be. But yeah, when Gilbright left, and we are not a West Coast type of team. And like I said, when McAdoo brought that in there, and this, Eli's numbers started going down, people were like, okay, it's time to move on. I'm laying back in the cut saying, careful what you wish for. Careful what you wish for. Because right now, you said it, we're spoiled. Every Sunday, if you are, how old are you?
18. Yesterday was my
18.
birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. But when Eli was playing, this won't affect you, but in the future it will. But when Eli was playing, there's two things that was guaranteed: taxes and him starting Sunday afternoon. And we were spoiled. And now the same people that wanted Eli gone are the same people that are saying we need to move on from Daniel Jones. This is his first year in being a starter.
That's what I'm saying. I honestly like you see the Lamar Jacksons, the Patrick Mahomes, and these guys who are top 10, top 5 quarterbacks, they're first on their rookie contract. But we got to understand, not every young quarterback is just going to flourish and be great in the NFL. You got to give it time. Daniel Jones's offensive line has just been, it's not been it. Nate Solder in his year one, he got embarrassed by Shaq Barrett, and then the O-line this year was up at times. I think if you just give the guy weapons and time, and if year 3 he shows that he makes some self mistakes and it's not everybody else, then that's when you can say that. But the guy has not had a right chance. I blame most of it on Jason Garrett and his scheme. I didn't like that one bit. I think you just have to give the guy the chance. Like, it's not all his fault, as people make it out to be.
And I agree. I'll say this with the Lamar Jacksons, the Patrick Mahomes, they're not in the same situation or had the same scenario as Daniel Jones did. If you look at, if you look at Patrick Mahomes, right? He's been in the league. This is his 4th year or something. I mean, it's because there was 1 year Alex Smith. Anyway, I'll just say this: the time that Patrick Mahomes has been in the league, he's only had one offensive coordinator. Daniel Jones now has 2. And this is his 2nd year. And not only is it his 2nd year, he didn't have OTAs. They didn't have the voluntary camps. They didn't have the preseason. If I'm not mistaken, I think they had 4 to 6 weeks or something like that to prepare. I mean, as a team, now, of course, preparing during the off season, which I will say about Daniel Jones. If people ask me, what do I like about him? I always say worth ethic. If he's going to put on 9 pounds of muscle and just work on his game, put in the work, I'm good with that.
He's got to be dead.
I'm good with that. And also people are forgetting that, yes, this is Daniel Jones' 2nd season. However, it's his 1st season as a full-time starter. Full-time. This is your job. Make it work. Now, I'm glad. I know you don't like Garrett's scheme, but I will tell you about Garrett's scheme. What we need to realize as Jason Garrett as an offensive coordinator, the times that he was a coordinator with the Dallas Cowboys, that offense was competing. They were top 10 offense. Not only that, the tight end flourished, the running backs flourished, and even the wide receivers. It's a play action type offense. And I can see a successful season when we get Saquon back, when we get Shepard back. I hope we do sign Gallman for, we might tag him. Regardless, whatever we got to do to keep him, I hope we keep him. I don't even thought, now this is my want. Everybody has their want. I would love for I would love for them to hold on to Morris one more year. Alfred Morris.
Yeah, he was down.
Give him 2, maybe 2 or 3 carries a game.
Yeah.
Just give him that. You know, you don't need a lot. With Garrett not taking or not getting, I think it was San Diego's job as a head coach is going to benefit Jones in his development. And one thing I also I know I'm talking a lot here. I'll say this with Daniel Jones, people want to criticize because it's easy to criticize. That's one. Two, he never had his full cast. He never had Tate, Shepard, Ingram, Barkley, Slayton. Never had a full cast for one play this year.
Yeah.
And that when you're loaded with all your number one on the field, that has a confidence that I can't even explain.
Yeah.
When you know your guys, I mean, granted, next man up, I get that. But if you can't even have your full starters for just one play, it does something. It does something.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think not having that supporting cast and that sense of consistency did take effect in the game. I also believe that even with that supporting cast, none of those guys like Evan Ingram, like no team really besides Saquon, and that's I think why Saquon gets hurt or he's gotten hurt the last few seasons, and why like even last year he had like 1 rushing yard against the Jets is because no team has had to fear a wide receiver on the Giants since Odell. Like we love Shepard is a great receiver, good receiver that we have, but he's not beating nobody deep. He's not gonna beat you 80 yards, and he's not gonna take the 5-yard pass to the house. Like missing, that's one thing that we miss Odell, and that's why I think like we have to go heavy receiver, even if it means trading a second round pick for Galladay, because that is a big step, not only for Jones but for Saquon too, to take the attention off of him to why they got to focus on a wide receiver one. Like you look at 2018, it's no coincidence, although it was his rookie year, that was his best year because we had Odell that year. And teams would have to come in and it's not okay. We could stack the box and still stop their passing game. No, you had to worry about Odell too and Saquon. And then we threw in the Carolina game when Odell threw the touchdown to Saquon. Like we could mix things up. We lacked that because Darius Slayton, although he was a fifth round pick, we were praying he could be a wide receiver one. He can't be. He's not that guy in my opinion. But
was he a fifth or a fourth? Slayton.
He was a fifth.
Okay.
I forgot who he took 4th round. Yeah, he was a fifth. But you touched on it and you went a different direction, but I'm gonna swerve back to it. You started talking about our past head coaches, and you mentioned McAdoo and then Shermer. Give me your initial reaction and then your final after the season reaction towards Joe Judge, because nobody really knew about Joe Judge. The beginning of the hire, but I can say personally, I'm all in on the Joe Judge train.
Oh yeah.
So just give me a reaction.
Whatever he is selling, I'm gonna buy it 3 times. So when I first heard about Joe Judge, and I know everybody they wanted Matt Rule. Somebody was talking about McCarthy, which I did not want McCarthy. Nothing against the man. But I do find it ironically, where did that come from? I do find it ironic that McCarthy's now with the Cowboys. Real quick, McCarthy is the type of person or coach that loves power. Jerry Jones ain't gonna give that to him. Okay, I digress. Now, when Judd came in, I was like every Giants fan. I Googled him. Before they could get his last letter, out of their mouth, they said Judge. I Googled him with the quick, and I was impressed with his resume. We got a coach that not only has Super Bowl rings. Okay, now Belichick's system or Belichick's staff. We could only imagine what they go through, the attention to detail, their knowledge of the game. And if you look at the branch, even Josh Daniels had some small success when he dipped out for a little bit. Romeo Cannell had a little bit of success. Wise, the old offensive coordinator back in the day. Yeah, he had some success with Notre Dame and kind of faltered, and I think he's coaching somewhere else. But with Judd, not only did he have Super Bowl rings, and to me, rings matter. To me, they do.
Yeah.
But he was also under the tutelage of Nick Saban, and we've seen the type of aggressiveness that Nick Saban. Now again, the attention to detail. So right there, I was like, oh, okay, all right. Now let's see. Now, granted, you're right. I mean, the rings, okay, the rings, and granted, he earned them for his role on the teams that he was on. But now let's talk about the man. Let's talk about the person. His speech.
Oh God, his speech had me. I talked to my dad about it. His speech had me in. His like, and I don't know what it was about him. It was just like the tone he used, how serious he was. He was no nonsense. He told you what he was about. He knew what he was gonna do. It was like versus McAdoo and Shermer. Their interviews and how they addressed the media, it was all shaky. It wasn't New York. Like Joe Judge is New York. He knows I'm gonna address the media. You're gonna hear what I'm gonna do, what I have to say. And he was all about this team.
And I don't. And you know, it's funny you say that. I don't even know, or can say if it's New York. I could say it was. I mean, it was brand new. I mean, maybe it was. Maybe we can call it New York type of feel. But I'll tell you what it was. When I was at work, when they introduced him, and I was on lunch when I was watching his speech, I never wanted to run through a wall. I mean, when I heard his speech, I'm like, hold my Lunchable. I mean, I was about to just, I had goosebumps. And now fast forward. If you don't mind, I'd like to do a quick plug here. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, those that don't know who I am, and if you don't know me, that's great. You don't have to know me. But if you do, you know what I'm about to say. I'm on Instagram, Sneaky GMAN, Talk, Sneaky GMAN 11, Twitter, Sneaky GMAN, and that's who I am. If you guys could go, and I asked you to do this as well, Keith, go to episode 13 on Make It Count, the Sneaky G-Man podcast, okay, which I have every Tuesday, Thursday night, 8:00 Central Time, Dallas, Texas time. And I would love for you to come on. I'm actually extending you an invite as well. Right. Which Thursday is the 30th episode. So I'm making this a big deal, and I'd love for you to be there. Anyway.
Great.
Now granted, I'm a Giants fan. I eat, bleed, sleep New York Football Giants. Okay. I was on an Eagles podcast, and I try to be positive. It's not all about hate, I hate the Eagles. I hate the football team, but I loathe the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm on the Eagles podcast, and we had just beat them, okay? And I don't want to ruin the whole segment. Well, I'm not going to ruin the whole show, but I gave the Eagles fan base a positive reinforcement of their coach, Doug Peterson. Now, the last game of the season. Let me throw this out. Let me just before anybody, any other fans that are Giants or even Giants fans, listen, I am going to say this before anybody says it before me. We should have won more games. Bottom line. We should have controlled our own destiny, which we had that opportunity. We should have finished it. We should have closed the deal. We didn't, for whatever reason. Ingram dropped that pass in the Philly game. We had some offensive questions when it comes to Cleveland. I don't know what we were doing on that first drive. I get the aggressiveness, but you got to take points. Anyway, I digress. Doug Peterson lied to that Philly base. Okay, but you know what? I'm gonna leave it like this because again, I want people to watch episode 13, Make It Count, the Sneaky G podcast, because I didn't go ham. I went ham bone on Doug Peterson.
Can't wait to watch this.
Because like I said, I gave Philly a thumbs up. This guy's good, accountability. And then he's going to lose when it's convenient to him. That's what I'm upset about. I'm not upset that Philly lost the game. We can say on purpose, whatever. And I'm sorry, let me back up. I'm not afraid that Washington won the game. I'm mad that Doug lied. And apparently the Eagles family, the Philadelphia Eagles family felt the same way because he's no longer with the team.
Mm-hmm.
But I like how Coach Judd addressed that. And he said it without saying a lot. He said, I'm going to let the Philly game speak for itself. Damn. I mean, just he said a lot right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to let it speak for itself. I'm good. You saw it. I don't need to get into it.
Not much to say.
Why do I got to give you my opinion?
Mm-hmm.
Let it speak for itself. And then he went on by saying we had 16 opportunities.
That part really struck to me. It was like, this guy, he's all about like doing what you have to do. We had from the beginning, we had the Dallas game, even I think it was week 5 that we had that game. We went down to the wire. We could have won that game. I think Jones had a 2-minute drill and we didn't score. We let them drive down on us and score. A fresh Andy Dalton just came in and scored on us, and we didn't win that game.
Well, let's not forget there were a lot. Now I live in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the game, I know I'm not okay. People are gonna say I make excuses, but there were some questionable calls.
Oh yeah.
In that game.
Oh yeah.
The 2 touchdowns that were called back. There was ample amount of misholding calls. I mean, blatant holding calls. But I mean, and again, you don't want to leave the game up to the refs. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, never.
And another thing with Judge's speech, when he mentioned that, he said, I want you guys to remember, we had players that opted in.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, I'm responsible for those guys. And then he kind of brushed over a little bit. If I'm going to preach winning, as long, and I'm summarizing, as long as I'm the head football coach here, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, he said he would never do what they did and would never
hit
these guys.
That's what, and you know what, when he said that, I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. That's my guy.
100%.
And those guys, I mean, all the players need to do now, they saw the potential that they have as a squad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could assume that the majority of the players are coming back. I don't know if you heard, Williams and the Giants aren't close. That's all I heard. So, and I know Nate, he's going to restructure his contract.
He might, yeah.
There's some things going on. I mean, and they're trying to figure out how to get Tomlinson back. I mean, we're right on the cusp. We're making that macaroni and cheese, right? That's just, it looks good, but we need to make sure we go back and get some more of that sour cream and a little bit of that Velveeta. I like Velveeta. I know some people don't. And the other 3 different cheeses just to get it nice and right, because we are on the cusp. And you're right. We get that number 1 wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Not only will it make Jones better, Saquon better, but it's going to make Slayton, Shepard.
Oh, yeah.
I would rather we do trade Ingram, but I'm going to say as though he's still there, next year. Hopefully it'll make Ingram better the way he'll catch the ball now. Yeah, we're I believe we're close. I believe we're close.
Yeah. Well, we're speaking about next season, so we're gonna talk a little about like right now we're in the middle of free agency and the draft talk and the smoke screens and things like that. If there is one, like, if we don't sign anybody, what if we don't sign anybody, what is one guy in free agency? And you can even say, like, I know Galladay, you got to trade for that, and some guys might get tagged and things like that. Who is one guy that you think is a must add going to the next year that can take this team over the hump?
It's gonna sound weird now, but I think the price tag might be a little too high. I've actually sat down and I thought about it just for one. I mean, for 1 year, maybe two, one at the most. One. Well, I say two at the most, one at the least. I would love to see JJ Watt with us. I would. But again, I don't want it to affect. And I want him to be cheap. I want him to come in to play for a ring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're gonna get the league, the veteran minimum. You know, maybe 8,000. Well, we'll load it up with incentives. And then because then we could keep Williams. Can you imagine?
I think that.
I mean, how and I know a lot of people. I mean, I don't know if I'll get slammed for that, but defensively, how we put fear. Russell Wilson.
Oh, that entire.
Well, he was running for his life. He was running for his life.
It was great to watch that him fluctuating every time he says hike, and we're in the backfield. It was amazing to watch. And you can go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is it's still around the JJ Watt, but like one thing, like being a Giants fan, and we haven't done it as of recent, and it may be because of the cap and things like that, but I don't like how sensitive we are to making that splash. Like last year, there wasn't no splash. I mean, Bradbury and Blake Martinez at the time were lower end guys who could produce. We don't make that splash, that big signing, and I'm not mad at it because there's reasons why. But as a fan, I would love for us to make that one splash, like you said, a JJ Watt. That like him, Leonard Williams, you've got, even if we don't sign Tomlinson back, which I hope we do, you still got Dexter Lawrence, and then you got Bradbury and McKinney and Peppers. This defense really can be top five in the league easily if we bring these things and put them together and make. I think we have to, and I know we're not, just based off of how everything going with the cap and things like that. But I need us to make a splash sooner or later.
So I'll say this with about that. For me, Bradbury was a big one.
He was
for me. Yeah. For me, Bradbury was that splash. Martinez. I mean, I know Martinez. I didn't really know, but I definitely know Martinez now. Definitely.
Yeah, you got to.
Which he got. I think he got snubbed in the Pro Bowl, and also with Ryan. Ryan, I knew a little bit. With the Titans, but I definitely know him now.
I was hoping.
And even with Flackwell, he's one. I was like, I hope we keep him, but I know he's not. He's going to be one of those victims. And also, the fact that Mr. Irrelevant, Crowder, got in there, got in the mix. You know, made the winning play. I mean, there's a lot of players that are going to make things happen, and that's why I believe we're just that one step. But like I said, to your point, for me, I knew what Bradbury was about with Carolina, and then of course I'm looking on YouTube, and of course I'm looking at his highlights. You're not going to show all the highlights, but dude is physical, and that's who we need. As a corner, and now that I mention that, if JJ Watt is unable for us to pick up, which obviously we're not gonna get him. What is it, Peterson from Arizona? Patrick
Peterson, yeah.
For that other side of the ball, I'll take that.
Cornerback too is.
Can you imagine them two cornerbacks, and then you got Logan and McKinney as safety?
Well, Alex Wilson, I don't know if you're familiar with him, Fireside Giants. You probably are. He brought up the idea of trading for Gilmore from the Patriots. Now, could you imagine that? That is two number one corners who are arguably top five in the league on opposite sides of the football. That takes care of a lot of problems. And I think our defense was ranked 9th this year, but having him on the other side of Bradbury, or either way, however he does it, like, I think the reason we were 9th is because cornerback 2 was such a blatant bad spot on our defense.
Right.
Attack. You're not gonna have that if you have both those corners on both the sides. You can't be like, okay, we're gonna attack Bradbury, because Bradbury's gonna lock it down and Gilmore will lock it down too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was actually talking to somebody about that. They were like, "Hey, you want Gilmore?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I'll take Gilmore." But Belichick's gonna do what's best for Belichick.
Mm-hmm.
Belichick, I mean, if that trade were to happen, I mean, he probably want like 5 number 1s, 4 number 2s, and like 17 number 3. I mean, he's gonna and I'm being facetious, but he's gonna want what's best for him, because he knows, Brady's gone. There's no recruiter to allure players to come to the Patriots anymore. And with, the type of resource that Gallman is, Belichick's gonna ring him out. He's gonna get every drop that he can from that one player, even if they trade him. Because I think he's on his one. I think he has one more deal. One more year on his contract.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. I mean, help me out with this. Did Gilmore say he want out of New England?
No, he hasn't really, not like to the extent of watching it. All these quarterbacks are doing. He hasn't said I want out, but it's just the reason people are speculating and things like that is because, one, he was hurt this year. 2, they could get some money by letting him go, and obviously they have to pay their other corner, J.C. Jackson, so they have to make a decision. And J.C. Jackson's much younger. Stephon Gilmore is like 30, 31, so he's on the higher end of age. So it's either do we pay the younger quarterback, or they have to deal with that situation. So, and Belichick, to your extent, I know you'd be extremely happy with this. Belichick loves his tight end, Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, that situation. But sending him Evan Ingram, he would love to have a athletic tight end like that in his offense. You can ship to New England and let him deal with that nonsense, and I'll definitely take Gilmore in return.
And it's like, because I am a fan of Ingram. The whole year I was preaching and praying that he would give us that, that 7-yard or 7 reception, a $125, 2 TDs type game that I know he's capable of. But the fact that, what was it, 11 interceptions that the Giants threw, he was responsible for 6 of them.
Yes.
And that's not even including that fumble, in the 49ers game. I would love, and another thing too, which I don't understand why the trade hasn't happened already, because there's no dead money with Ingram, if I'm not mistaken. I may have to double check that, but that's something Gettleman inherited. That's Reese's pick. That's not Gettleman's pick. So I am a little bit surprised that he's holding on to him a little bit. Maybe there's something that Coach just sees in him that I don't, and I'm only going to speak for myself. But shoot, we could trade him to New England. Hey, I'll tell you what, to sweep up the deal, just add a $5 Walmart gift card on that, and he should be good to go with that.
Yeah, for sure. We'll wrap it up with this one last question, because this is when Giants will really be able to be prepared, and we'll know what we're going into by that time. Free agency will be over, and I'm gonna ask you, what's your ideal? Like, if you were the GM, what would you do with the 11th pick? You can trade up, down. You could stay there. Who would you pick, or what would you do at that situation, and how would you go about it?
I would want some intel. I know the top with Waddle, Is it Chase? Waddle, Chase, and Smith. I don't see them making it to us. So I think we're in a good spot. So I would, if that was the case, I would stay. Because I'm falling in love with Pitts. I'm really, and I try not to follow the trend. You know, I beat my own drum. Matter of fact, when we get off, I'll tell you one of my hot takes that I'm still getting heat on. I don't know if you saw it on TikTok yet.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. So for that case, you know, I like to beat to my own drum. And then when I say something, I like to have, you know, there's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't just wake up. I don't hear what my boy Capizzle, shout out, you know, the booger eaters, he calls them, would say. I like to, you know, like I said, beat to my own drum. So I would say Pitts for now, because I think he would make a difference on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Some are saying you could put him at wide receiver. Some are saying you could put him at tight end. I mean, the boy could catch, the boy could fly.
6'6".
Yeah. I mean, you can't coach 6'6".
Yeah.
You can't coach that. And I would love for him to be that tight end on the Giants, because I mean it's kind of what we're known for. You know, the Bavaros, the Cross, Howard. I mean, people forget about. I can't believe people. I mentioned Howard Cross. I was like, who? Are you kidding me? You forgot about Howard Cross? You know, the Shockies, the
Evan Boss.
Boss, Smith. You know, I mean, it's you know, I could see Pitts kind of bringing that position back where it needs to be.
Yeah, two guys.
So I could definitely with that.
Yeah, I'd love Pitts. Two guys we didn't mention are I was in love with Jake Ballard, and then you had the Bear Pascos. Our tight ends are what we are. Like that's the tight ends.
Pascos, yep.
I forgot to mention this earlier, and that was another reason going back all the way to the beginning of how I fell in love with football is I'm a big helmet guy for some odd reason. I don't know why. I couldn't give a reason, but for some reason I've just always had this crazy and fascination with helmets and things like that. And I think back then Jake Ballard had a helmet I fell in love with, and that's how I fell in love with like our tight end position and things like that.
For me, it was I mean, it's rings. I remember watching Ace Ventura, the first one, and Snowflake hit that red ruby out of the Miami Dolphins. I was like, oh shoot. Mm-hmm. They even get an AFC championship ring. So I started going on Google. So all of a sudden it's the Super Bowl rings for me that I fell in love with. And the fact that we have 4, I mean, I cannot wait. I cannot wait until we get the next one.
Oh, we got
that. Everybody asked me which one. I mean, I got the banners in the back. I got the tickets right there. And then I got, the little banner with the Giants and with the other 4 world championships. So we have 8. And I'll get into that too. But everybody asked me, out of the 4 that I have on my fingers right now, they say, which is my favorite one? And I say the next one.
Hello.
The next one.
Resistance.
Because that's the only thing that the Cowboys can say on us.
Oh my gosh.
That's all they can. We got 5. We got 5. Oh, and how do you're 18, right? Yeah. You are in a better position than any Cowboys fan that's 18 years old.
Oh, of course. They haven't seen them win we have more like Super Bowl rings than they do like playoff wins.
You saw them twice.
That's
twice.
He's like, I've seen my team actually be there and win it. Your team, let alone, hasn't even been there, but let alone win it. So yeah, there's nothing they can really say to me.
And that's why, matter of fact, let me tell you this joke real quick. I don't want to keep back. How many Dallas Cowboy fans does it take to change a light bulb?
I think I've heard this one.
Oh, you did? Because it's 0. They would rather stay in the dark and talk about the 5 bowls they changed before. I had to throw that out there.
That was a great joke. Well, We'll finish off that one. I'll leave Sneaky G-Man's TikTok, Twitter, all that in the description. Link to his account. Definitely go watch episode 13. I'll leave my TikTok, things like that in the description. Don't forget episode 13. We'll figure out the details for me to pop up on his episode 30 and things like that. Thank you for coming and being the interviewee and discuss. It was a great discussion about Giants past, present, things like that. This has been All Things Giants. Peace.
I just got one last thing to say. Let's go Giants.
Let's go Giants for sure. Peace.